Welcome everyone to the 16.5 meta playbook. In this video, we're going to go over the 5 major comps you should try to play, how to play them, and the major changes from the previous patch so you know what's going on in the game. All right, first off, the first thing to go over is the changes from 16.4. There's a few major ones. Number 1, Demacia nerfs. The Zehen hero prismatic augment was nerfed. It's weaker than before. Zehen in general is weaker than before, as well as Demacia in general was also nerfed fairly substantially. The comp lost 5 armor MR at 5 and 7, and it also lost 5 AP on the Lux, which both things matter when you have a comp that you nerf in 2 ways and was already not the bestest before. It's a lot harder to play. Next, augment buffs. There are a wide variety of augment buffs, some of which landed rather strong, like Dumbify and perhaps Aura farming. A bunch of the other augments are no longer quite so weak, which is good, as you might have seen in the morning meta report, so that's good to see. There are T-Hex buffs. T-Hex has ended up as the strongest comp in the game, and if you can play T-Hex in a game, you generally should try. On this patch, it's kind of hard to unlock T-Hex still. It's way easier on the next patch, probably, but on this patch, you kind of have to hold all the Piltover units the entire game all the time forever, and that kind of means you're going to need to like either be playing an opener that involves Caitlyn, be playing around Piltovers, or just have a lot of gold to make doing that worth it. Last but not least, this wasn't easily seen in the patch notes, but the Zon bug fix, there was a bug that made 5 and 7 Zon much stronger than it should have been, got fixed, but there were no compensation buffs, so Zon kind of sucks now, so just keep that in mind. If you don't see that on the list, that's why. I would not try to play it from Lost Streak. I would not try to pass go. Do not collect $200. Don't play this comp. Top comps. This is my list of top comps from the S to the A tier. Warwick is a little bit lower in like the C or D tier probably. All these comps are playable. I'll be going over the top 5 that you should be playing by frequency, but as you can see, reasonably diverse meta. It's funnily enough a little bit less diverse than last patch. There's less Demacia. You can play Seraphine Brahma is not as good. T-Hex is the king now. All right, general game plan still the same. Play high tempo, 4 cost line. Most comps are good uncontested and bad when contested, and then there are certain augments that enable specific comps. Top 5 comps we're going to cover today. Number 1, T-Hex. Number 2, Slayer Bel'Veth. 3, Kaisa, Yunara, Shadow Isle, Callista. That's the list that you should be running in, I would say, most of your games. And if you only can learn a certain number of comps, I would try to learn like 2 or 3 of them and play them pretty commonly. Starting off with T-Hex. This is like a typical-ish T-Hex opener that you want to try to have. Caitlyn is a fairly good unit. You can put all the T-Hex items on Caitlyn. She works in basically the exact same way. Having items on Caitlyn is good. Having Caitlyn 2 is good. Having Caitlyn 2 also makes it a lot easier to unlock the T-Hex later because you need Kate 2, Vi 2, Loris 2, Orianna 2, and a Seraphine, or you can trade any of these upgrades for a Seraphine 2 as well. It's also a lot easier to unlock if you have a Piltover emblem. In terms of the endgame board, this is the normal level 8 roll down board you should, or level 9 board you should try to have. On level 8 you can just not play the gunslinger, so you don't have Senna a lot of the time, you don't have to play it, or you can just drop the Ornn. Whichever one you hit you can play. If you hit neither, you can just play like a random tank like Tarek is fine. On this board usually you can eat either the Vi or the Orianna depending on your itemization. So I would actually say that if you have a blue buff, it's better to eat Vi, and if you don't have a blue buff, it's probably a little bit better to eat Orianna in my opinion. It's kind of close. It doesn't really matter, but that's my preference. TX should usually be positioned like this. There's not a great reason to move into the other side, except if there's like a really strong Skarner on this side to be afraid of, then you might want to switch sides. Otherwise, roll for this board on 8. Make sure you unlock the T-Hex on 4-2 or 4-3 hopefully. And yeah, Bob's your uncle from there. All right. Here is a different comp. So this is technically a bilge comp, but it also runs the T-Hex and should be your primary carry on this patch. So if you're running bilge water in your early game, you can try to get to this version of the board, and it's very good and very strong. This is like the kind of the cap version. If you don't have Senna yet, you usually just drop both Senna and Graves and just play some kind of tank in the front line, like Tarek is fine, one of these Juggernauts are fine. And then your 2 gunslingers are Misfortune and T-Hex. T-Hex always being your primary carry. You'll want to run IE, you'll want to run either DB, Guard Breaker, or Striker's File, or Blue Buff. You always need IE. If you don't have IE, the unit doesn't do anything. And then after that, you want to run any 2 of these 3 items, and they're like approximately equal in strength. And you should always try to give your T-Hex the premium items, and then put the leftovers on in the back. So like leftover utility on like Lissandra, leftover utility on Misfortune is the way to go. You can put Brew on Misfortune, totally good in this comp if you're running the T-Hex, because that guy will do a lot of damage. Next comp is Slayer Bel'Veth plus Ambessa. This is the standard opener. Nothing super new on this patch. Same version of the board, same strength. In terms of positioning, just keep in mind you almost always want to position on the opposite side of where their strong tanks are, because these units like Ambessa and Bel'Veth both get much stronger after you've killed something. So you really want to put these units in front of where their not main tank is. Like you do not want to be in front of Bramble Wukong or Bramble Rift Herald. You want to be in front of the Mundo 1 or the Shen on their board. This is the other version, the Aatrox version, which has gained some favor lately. There's a variety of different units you can run in some of these slots. This version runs Forest Lair. This Terra can be a Skarner. It can be a variety of other tanks as well. But yeah, these are the two main versions that you want to run. Itemization hasn't really changed. Just keep following the same principle of you need CC immunity on this unit, and then you want some kind of attack speed, and then you want some kind of damage amp or AD are both good in the final slot. Ambessa, she's kind of flexible. She can play Edge Knight over any of these slots, but her best damage items are Deathblade and Striker's Flail. Item holder priority, kind of the same. On to Yunara. Yunara has been changed on this patch. She now no longer is as good with AP as she is before. She got a little bit of a base buff, which means that she's a little bit weaker across the board in like Spirit Ionia or in like any Ionia that gives both AD and AP. It's all fine. And then this is like the normal board. You can sub out the Swain for Garner if you want to. You can, if you hit Shyvana goes over the Tarek. The board is fairly similar. Usually you play a Quick Striker over a Kindred if you don't have Kindred yet. This is all the same. In terms of itemization, this is the old priority here. What I want to point out is that instead of Titans is still a reasonable item on Yunara in regions or not regions, in paths that give you enough AD. Strikers is clearly the best item compared to Titans or DB. However, if there isn't AD given by your path, you still want an item like Kraken or Titans or DB to give you enough actual base damage. That means on Transcendence and Blades, you really want an item that gives you AD. Now, Blades still isn't that good. Still, I would say it's like barely playable, and Transcendence is just okay. The priority of the other ones is about the same. They're just a little bit less OP. Spirits, XP, and Gold, they're still very good. They're still the best, but they're closer in comparison than before. This is your normal item holding path. Phelios 2 got buffed in this patch, so he's a little bit better. Even Jinx was on is better as well, but this is like really rare to play. Normally you go straight from Jhin to the Yunara. All right, Seraphine Liss is still a reasonable, humble AP comp. The change that was done this patch is that Orianna is not as strong as it used to be. Orianna's damage got nerfed by about 10% across the board, which means that she's just kind of weaker now. I still wanted to include an AP comp on this list because surely if you have an AP opener, you gotta play something, right? And this is what I think the something generally is supposed to be. Rather than playing Demacia, you just try to play Lissandra Seraphine, roll for a standard good board on level 8, and then hopefully collect your top 4. The end game board, I think everyone for that one already knows, is like Piltover. You run 4 Piltover, you run the Braum and the Loris front line, and then you have one flex slot. It can be a Tarek or an Azir, depending on what you hit. Next comp is Kai'Sa. Kai'Sa is the same as before. If you've seen any of the previous videos, you kind of know the principles. On this patch, they've actually buffed Husk, so it gives more HP now than it did before, which actually makes it a pretty reasonable option now. I would say that it's still a little bit worse than Carapace, but the gap is much smaller now, I'd say. To play Kai'Sa, you still need to open with these 2 units on 2-1 most of the time because you need to unlock Rift Herald by 3-5 in order for your board to spike. You can either play AD or AP, and if you run the AP version, you run the Bruiser board. If you run the AD version, you run it with Bel'Veth Duo, and then yeah, you're chilling from there. Cool. Also, in both of these comps, it's in this meta, it's like kind of hard to cap if you're playing anything but T-Hex. If you're trying to outcap T-Hex, Baron can do it sometimes. So if you have a really good spot, you can try to play towards Baron, but otherwise don't worry about it. It's really hard to outcap that guy. A lot of comps are playing for second unless you're like really high rolling your line to T-Hex. So yeah, just try to roll aggressively on 8, find your 4 cost upgrades on 8, and have the most consistent stable game possible. These are Kai'Sa AD items. Nothing has changed about them. AP kind of goes like this, similar priority as well. AD progresses like this, AP progresses like this, all the same pretty much. And all right, moving on to the last comp of the rundown, which is Shadow Isles. So Shadow Isles is quite good on this patch. patch. The Callista is pretty strong. Some of the other units have been brought down. The opener is pretty good. If you get a Viego 2, even by 2-1, I would be fairly willing to play it. Even if I have 2-1 Viego and 2-2 Yorick, I think it still would be one of your better options, especially because it's kind of hard to play uncontested this patch, and so being able to play around this is pretty good. Also, being able to contest some of the T-Hex holders frontline can be valuable sometimes, but if they hit faster than you, you're just kind of sad. So this is the normal late game Shadow Isle board. If you don't have Blast Shield, you can just straight up drop the Seraphine and even the Gwen in favor of either more in favor of more high quality units. So you can run stuff like running like Azir is fine, as well as running like Shyvana is good, Senna's good. You can just run Shyvana, Senna over these units, and then you generally have a good board. Capping on your board, this is like the general logic. Kindred can be used if you are running Viego Hero, otherwise Kindred doesn't really go on the board, but if you happen to hit a Kindred 2, you can use it to cap out the board anyways. And yeah, thanks for watching the rundown. Hope you found it helpful. Make sure to follow and subscribe for more, and keep watching BrosephTech to hit your dream goal.